Luke, we appreciate the time, man. Hell of a run. A great job with Sportsnet. Looked like you had a good time when you were sitting outside of the moss pit there as well. How was the last month and a half, 2 months for you?
Boys, I had a blast. I had an absolute blast. I feel like this is the first time I'm putting my feet on the ground here for like the first time in a month. But honestly, it was really cool, man. I got to follow the team from Dallas to Edmonton in the Western Conference Final. Obviously, that was like such a full circle moment for me. Being drafted by Dallas is the first time Sportsnet let me like hold a stand-up mic and be there, on scene. And obviously, being in Moss Pit for the final was. Can I just tell you guys something? I feel bad that I didn't say anything on the post-game show, our final one after game 6. I think that post-game was tough for me because everything happened. Like a lot of stuff was happening and I wasn't thrilled that it was ending. Also, like I wasn't in the greatest mood, but I have to shout out the fans at Fan Park and at Moss Pit just for being unreal throughout this whole thing. Like, these people make me feel so cool when I come back to town. Everyone is in a good mood, classy, and like they lost game 6 and there's no brawls, there's no skirmishes, there's no riots, there's no nothing, like everyone was just great throughout the whole run. So I have to shout out the fans downtown who are coming to hang out and say hi and stuff. I had a blast. Looking to probably be back there next year, hopefully.
Yeah,
right?
well, yeah, hopefully that would be tremendous. Luke Gazdic with us on the show. If you're watching on YouTube, please subscribe to the channel. Luke said you kind of picked up this team, in being there and watching live in that series against Dallas, and they were so good against Dallas. You followed them to the Stanley Cup final against Florida, and obviously they ran into major issues against the Panthers. How much of that stuff that we saw in the Stanley Cup final was self-inflicted by the Oilers, and how much of it is just you tip your hat, Florida's an incredibly well-constructed roster?
That's a great question, man. I think it's a healthy mix. I honestly think, and I know probably Oilers fans don't want to hear this, but I honestly think that Florida was just so good and so dominant. The two major like roadblocks they ran into for me was goaltending, right? Like Bobrovsky was
he's a Hall of Famer, man. Like he's
unbelievable to me. Like I have a theory why he didn't win the Conn Smythe that I don't think I can technically say. It's not politically correct. Yeah. But he was my Conn Smythe winner. Like I know his numbers weren't incredible in the Cup final, but goaltending is the hardest position in hockey, and they're not winning anything without him. And you know what? I think the depth scoring just disappeared. Like guys were shooting over their heads. I think in Dallas, like they got clutch goals from like Kulak and Janmark and like random players just stepping up out of nowhere. And man, I feel like they tried everything. I leaned into what Connor said after the game. Connor was like, we kept trying the same thing over and over again and just banging our head against the wall. And that's really the only thing I saw was guys started to get frustrated late. Connor was trying to beat guys one-on-one all night. And so I think it was a healthy combination of both, man. But this Florida team is just dialed.
Yeah, they're really good, man. I watched them quite a bit.
They will be really good.
We just went over their cap thing. They've got like everybody locked in for the next 5 years.
They have 4 UFAs.
Yeah,
Ekblad, but Bennett, Vanacek, and Marchand. And you got to think 2 of the 4 back. Like I think Sam's probably back, but I don't know, man. They're pretty much icing the same team next year.
Yeah, and that's like I looked at it yesterday. We were talking about on the 6 o'clock hour today. Like they have enough money I think they have enough money to keep Bennett and Ekblad if they really wanted to. And nothing against Marchand, he was unbelievable, but he's 37 and you can keep these other guys for the next 7-8 years. But then you look at the rest of their group and Barkov's locked up till 2030. Kachuk's locked up till 2030. Reinhardt's locked up. Verhaeghe's locked up till 2032. Jones is a 2032 or a 2030. Like their entire
Forsling
core
is another 6 years.
Yeah, their entire core is locked up. So after you pay Bennett and Ekblad, it's not like but in 2 years you have to worry about Bark. They're all locked up. Like
it's crazy, dude. And the only question is going to be a net, right? I think as Bob gets older, but like, holy man, honestly, it was a tough one, dude. I did think in the last game, like it's been the number one problem with the Oilers the whole time I've watched them is managing turnovers. Like, I love Bush to death, but Bush turning that puck over on the second goal at the offensive blue line, like stuff like that's going to kill you, man. It was little. Now that I think of it, it was little things like tape passes. I love Matthias Ekholm, but like the first goal,
it was a grenade.
He throws an absolute grenade to Bush. And I get people are like, oh, Bush turned that puck over. It's tough to handle a puck in your groin while you have a guy, racing down on you. So it was little things like that, like tape to tape passes. And by the end, they just looked like they were getting so frustrated because everything they tried was unsuccessful.
Luke Gazdic with us on the show this morning, brought to you by Pro-Am Sports. Yesterday there was a lot of mourning of the team, and obviously the conversation starts about what's going to happen next. The rumor mill starts to circulate around this team. There are some ridiculous things, like where was this one text? Who was it? This text came in this morning from TubeSock, says, here's how dumb things are getting. I received a text from my mother in Vancouver last night asking me what's going on with McDavid. And I replied, what do you mean? She said, I was reading stuff online that he's going to be traded. I was just like, so it's just people are losing their minds and stuff. The Trent Frederic conversation is interesting because many people are reporting that the deal's not just done yet, but it's looking like an 8-year contract at just under $4 million, to which, if he's the player we saw in the playoffs, that seems ridiculous, but he was coming off a high ankle sprain. Where do you come out on a guy like Frederic getting an 8-year type of deal?
Let's process this, because this happened while I was flying home yesterday. At first I was like, what? Excuse me, 8, whatever. And then the more I thought about it, okay, so I think it's worse than a high ankle. I think he's playing on something worse. I think it was worse. Yeah, I think it was worse than that. The more I think about it, I love this deal just because I love the player. He's young. He's 20. What is he? 28? Is he 27?
27, I believe. Yeah.
I think in the long run, here's a guy who can play depth minutes for you and hit and fight and chip in offensively. It's a long contract, but they must have seen something in him that like him. That's the only concern I have with it, is like, how can you watch him play in the playoffs on an injury like that and give him 8 years? It's just eight's a lot.
That's a valid concern, right? Like, I think that's a reasonable look at it. But at the same time, I think they're thinking the guy who scored 17 and 18 goals in back-to-back years, playing with some offensive centers. I think they're kind of. Hey, and you know what? The deal's like an upside play.
Most importantly, he wants to be there. Like he requested, like he wanted to be there. He wants to be an Oiler till his mid-30s, or basically whenever it takes him till the end of his career. I love that stuff. Like, more and more you are seeing the trend of guys want to go down and play in no tax states and go sit on the beach in the sun. And here's a kid who wanted to come up and be an Oiler for the next 8 years. Like, that fires me up. Like, here's a motivated player who's going to give you everything he has for not a terrible cap hit. So I'm all for adding character players to your room. And from what I hear from the guys, this guy's awesome. So I'm in favor of it. It's a long way, but he's still young and he's going to give you some good minutes. I don't mind it.
Luke, also, does that factor in with perhaps seeing the last of Evander Kane in an Oilers uniform for you? I mean, that type of player, you can now look to Trent to kind of take up that mantle. And just moving on with Kane, you had the misconduct in Game 6. He goes off, doesn't shake the hands. There is a no movement, no trade list. 12 teams.
He's got a 16 team.
So how's this going to work? Because I'm about to tell you that I think you saw his last game in an Oiler, but I truly don't know like how hard moving him is going to be. Like, I don't know how many people are going to want to take this guy in his contract on.
Yeah. I 100% agree. So he's got a 16 team list that he can say he wants to go to. And that's fine. I think that's good. And if you can move on the 5.1 mil for one more year and let Frederic be your top 6 power forward, or however you want to imagine it. But somebody said that they were snooping around on Kane pre-trade deadline and they think there might be a market for him. But I almost feel like, do you have to give something up with Kane to move that deal? Like, is there
you might have to. You're right on the money. You're going to probably have to sweeten the pot. I look at a team like Vegas. Like, Vegas makes sense for him. I don't know if they want him with the nightlife there, but I think he's done. I think he's done in Edmonton. I really do. I think the Frederic contract spills that out. He really turned me off in the last couple games, like the high sticks in the first period. He says all the right things, but I just, he
hurt them in the cup final, which I was a little surprised by.
He was hurting them more than he was helping them. And I think it didn't seem to go over too well with the rest of the group. So I don't know how easy it's going to be to move him. I really do. And you know what? I don't know what the buyout situation is too. Like I know Neil's buyout's done, and I know they don't want to have to approach buyout territory.
Yeah, they're still paying Campbell. It was funny because
that's right,
yeah.
Jack. But so you have 2 slots. I just think Neil's is done, so I think you can always add someone there. But I don't know how much you want to get into that now.
Yeah, so the Kane thing's interesting because Sarah Volley yesterday reported that the Oilers are being investigated for this LTIR situation when so many other teams have taken advantage of the LTIR, including Florida this year as well. Just as a former player, Luke, your thoughts on how the NHL has allowed, teams, there's no rule against it, so teams have found a loophole and take advantage of it. I'm not 100% sure why the Oilers have become an issue, but yeah.
It's going to change. I think in this next CBA, it's changing. I know for a fact that it is very high up on the list of things that they're going to be talking about, because the same issues that we're talking about and that you guys have, like the players have them. Like the players don't like it either. There is absolutely no reason. And I know it didn't happen exactly this way. I know Kucherov's was, but if you can't play game 82, but you can play game 1 of the playoffs, that does not, right. Like that's red flag number 1. Right. And I think guys see that and guys are not happy about it. And I know that coming up here in this CBA negotiation, it'll be right on the top of the list. I don't think they're doing anything about the state tax, to be honest. Like they don't care about that at all. But I do know that the LTIR is something they will be talking about, and I think it will be changing.
Guys, what do you think happens between the pipes here this offseason in Edmonton?
Buddy, I had about a 4-hour flight with Kenny Reed yesterday, and it was one of the things we talked about for a while, to be honest. I really don't know, boys. Like I'm sitting there after the game, and it was the first time that I probably thought that, like, I love Stu. I think Stu is an unbelievable guy. I think he's battled his own personal demons. I think he's put in a ton of effort for this team, but you have to look at the on-ice product at some point. And like, how many times can you keep running this back with the same common denominator that's hurting you every time? But I just look around the league, and this is what we were doing yesterday. It's like, you need to win now. So are you going to make a splash? Like, Ottawa goes out last year and gets Allmark. Are you looking to snag someone's backup? Are you going to Washington and are you trying to get one of those 2 guys? Are you going to Anaheim and are you trying to get John Gibson? Are you going to get a Jake Allen from Jersey and trying to have him as your number 2 to push Stu? Or like, I truly don't know what their plan is, but if you're asking me, man, you need someone in there who's going to give you a better consistent effort. That's my thing. I think he's probably done with the Oilers. If you're asking me, I think that's probably where they're going to make a move.
We kind of dove into it on our Oil Stream, our noon show yesterday, and the unrestricted free agent list is not over. Now Jake Allen is on it. Jake Allen's an unrestricted free agent. So if people like Allen as a veteran guy, I guess, but the rest of that unrestricted free agent list, I think most teams would probably take Skinner over all the guys who are UFAs. So then you have to go out and trade for somebody. And that's always, and plus if Frederic gets 4, I think Arvidsson will probably be moved. And we mentioned that it might be the end of Kane. There's also the Bouchard contract that factors into how much you probably can spend on a goalie. And I know you guys have talked about that a lot over at Sportsnet. Rashog yesterday on our show said that he thinks if the Oilers can get it in under 11 million, they'll be happy. No matter what it is, people are going to be overly critical for a long time here, I think.
That's 20,
but you have to pay the guy, though, don't you, Luke?
That's 22 mil between 2D. That'll be
if he gets 10.5, it would be 20 mil for him and Nurse. Let's just say if he gets 10.5.
That's a lot of money, man.
That's tough.
You know what?
Right?
I think, to be honest, you got to pay him. Yeah, honestly, but the number one thing for me is get Bouch done and figure out what you're doing in that. I same thing with you. I looked through the UFAs yesterday and I was like, oh, this is not great. I think the number one option for me on paper is to go out to Anaheim and get John Gibson. But I just don't know how that works. And I also don't love that. That doesn't necessarily excite me. It's a guy who's been injured for his whole career. It's a guy who spent his whole career in Anaheim, basically away from everything.
Flying under the radar.
And he's not a Canadian kid. Like, it's not like he's coming back home to play and he understands what it's all about. So I don't know, man. That's the number one question for me moving forward, just because I think you guys know this. I mean, if this team had Bob, they probably would have had 3 cups already, honestly. Like, and that's tough, man. Like, I've really grown to really like Stu. And it's just sometimes you have to separate the personality from the on-ice product. And at what point are we going to keep, running this thing back?
Luke, good stuff, man. We won't chat with you next week. And then the following week will be free agency. So that'll probably be our last chat with you. So we'll talk. Next time we chat with you, the Oilers could have, who knows? Who knows what's going to happen over the next 2 weeks? So
yeah, we'll see, boys.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Yeah. All right, man. Good stuff. Thanks for the time.
All right. Thanks, boys.
There you go. Luke Gazdic. How good was that chat? That was a great conversation with Gazdic. And he was excellent over on Sportsnet during the playoffs as well.
4-hour flight to discuss Oilers goaltending.
What he should have done is I
didn't get to an end.
I had the same 4-hour flight last week.
Yes.
You should have watched the Hurt Locker.